Shaman even. What do you guys think about the match so far?
Well, it seems pretty amazing. There's 2 Shaman players in the tournament, and they're going to be facing each other now. There's 4 classes between these guys. Both of them are playing Hunter, both of them are playing Shaman. But DieMeng with the more aggressive lineup, his Hunter is a face Hunter, and his Shaman is a mech Shaman. While Pinpingho is bringing mid-range Hunter and the Totem Shaman.
Yeah, and DieMeng's Paladin is the Secret Paladin deck as well, so he's going with a very aggressive lineup overall, while Pinpingho has more of a sort of mid-range controlling style of decks.
Yeah, I think Pinpingho's really been one to shine so far in the tournament. He's been a player that, at least in the Western world, we haven't really seen play very much or at all. I'm not even sure.
He played in some open events. He actually, I believe he lived in the U.S. for a while.
Okay.
And he's played in, I believe he qualified for the ESL Legendary Series last season. And there he was actually, I remember I was trying out his Shaman deck, incidentally, from that event quite a while ago. And here he is playing Shaman again.
All right.
Really
it is the China region versus the Asia Pacific. So you can tell us who will win. Have your guesses. Keep mindful. So far, back to Pinpingho. I think he's one of the most loved players of the tournament, just because on one hand he's got that very hilarious personality where he's kind of like a reserved guy, but when the camera's on, it's a different face, and it's a welcome one. And in the game, he's really spinning up all these decks. We talk about how players often kind of twist the decks a little bit to shape a tournament, but Pinpingho really pushes that a little bit more than other players have. We've seen, even in this Hunter deck that he's playing now, we've seen like Fell Reaver. We've seen just slightly unusual things that we really don't see other players push to that degree.
So while this is the Battle of the Shaman, no Shaman in the first game. We have DieMeng playing his Secret Paladin deck, while Pinpingho is playing that Fell Reaver Hunter deck.
Double Secret Keepers to start things off. The Secret Keeper gets +1/+1 for every secret that's being played, and not only the Paladin secrets.
Bring out your dead.
Bring out your dead.
Reminiscent of Undertaker from way back when.
Yeah.
And Secret Keeper is interesting in that it actually makes many of the cards that are generally the worst cards in your deck to draw quite good, especially when you have them in multiples. So here, DieMeng's hand does not have any secrets to complement those Secret Keepers.
I think it's still a pretty decent hand as long as he just draws one secret next turn.
Yeah, he really needs some help with that. Right now, it's not looking that spectacular in case that he does not find that secret.
And here, this is an interesting spot for Pinpingho as well, because he has to imagine that there's a very good chance that DieMeng does have a secret. So coining out a Mad Scientist, not necessarily as attractive as it would be against just 1/2, for instance, or even just a 2/2 or 3/2.
Also, you can just wait. If you wait, you have the power to choose if you think Mad Scientist or Quick Shot is going to work next turn, or if you think it won't, you can choose the bow. You just have so many more options if you wait. So if you don't wait, he must be really deliberate. He must know a lot more than what's actually going on right now.
Now, this is one of the toughest turn ones that I've ever seen. I wouldn't be too surprised if he even chose to coin out the Quick Shot to take out the potential of double secrets coming out from DieMeng on turn 2.
Yeah, and there it is. He decides to take the Secret Keeper down right now, and DieMeng has to be pretty happy about that, given that he didn't even have a secret to follow up with that Secret Keeper. He doesn't find one in turn 2 either.
But hello, there's the Annoyatron, and perfectly on curve.
DieMeng is actually playing 2 Annoyatrons, if I remember correctly.
I believe the double Annoyatron and double Redemption, which works very well with the Divine Shield minion.
Yep. Right. The idea is that we start going face earlier than other decks could, just by defending our other minions with Annoyatron. Oh, and there is the other one.
There's the second Annoyatron.
It was actually kind of amusing. Yana and I were back watching the last match, and we were saying, did we even see these Patron Warrior decks draw Fiery War Axe, and instantly he just draws both of them? And we just mentioned the double Annoyatron, and here comes the second Annoyatron.
Yeah, just like that.
Well, the other bow draw kind of suggests you should be playing that. Unleash is pretty good, but I think you have a lot of good Unleashes throughout the game against the Secret Pally.
The bow is quite weak here against the 2 Divine Shields. He could use the Mad Scientist to take off one of them, bow down the other. using bow to kill just these 2-drops here, not super exciting, but it does enable him to potentially play trap into something else next turn.
Yeah, he really only has 2 options here. It's either the bow or the unleash. You don't want to play the freezing trap into the secret keeper, and with 2 bows in his hand, I think he's very likely to play one of those right now to try get the value out of those. And on the other hand, unleash the hounds. While 3 minions is not bad, it's very likely that against Paladin, who you know is running some things like double Master of a Battle, that you will get even more value from it later on.
And also the Unleash just doesn't match up very well against the 1-2s. Even if you could get the Divine Shields off, your Hounds aren't really doing very much to clear them from the board.
Yeah.
I wonder what you do here if you're DieMeng. Usually if you're aggressive, you want to stay aggressive, but he has a pretty decent opportunity to get rid of a freeze trap. Issue is if you do that, you give him another charge in your bow.
Yeah, that's true. You probably don't want to, like, DieMeng doesn't have the information that there's a second bow waiting, so that extra charge, it would be really painful. And DieMeng drawing that Pilot the Shredder on curve. He hasn't drawn a single secret, and he has a mysterious challenger waiting in his hand.
That is really the dream.
Yeah, things are looking really good for DieMeng right now. But Pinpingho with that unleash, if he gets something like a knife juggler, he might be able to turn things around.
He could just play the Unleash now.
Yeah, it feels like the strongest play still.
Use the Mad Scientist and one of the Hounds to clear off the Annoyotron, then use the bow to kill the Shredder to at least take a significant amount of damage off the board. He will get a secret as well from the Mad Scientist dying.
The freezing trap with only Pilot the Shredder on your opponent's side of the board is quite powerful.
Yeah, that's the other option, is just killing the Secret Keeper and leaving just the Shredder up against the freezing trap, assuming that's the trap that he does get.
Yeah, I don't quite remember what traps are in his deck, but often when you run one freeze trap, you'll pair it up with another.
Yep. I really like this. I think that's quite powerful. There's no real charge minions in the Paladin deck. I don't think there's any, actually. So that Shredder is going to be
This actually, assuming this is a freezing trap, it actually very well neutralizes DieMeng's best play this turn, which would otherwise be this Blessing of Kings to make this individual large threat.
Yeah.
And it's so good, it would actually probably delay the attack, so you can bow and start pushing for some more damage.
Do you just Kings anyway? Because you're not going to Kings on turn 6 or 7.
I think it's a totally reasonable play. Your only other option is really just to make a 1/1, and your opponent does have 2 Hounds that can clear them off very easily.
Yeah.
So I think trying to set up a big threat that you can eventually get to connect is probably the strongest use of this turn.
I like it as well, because he is playing those Divine Favors, so getting that Blessing of Kings out of his hand right now is going to allow him to draw more cards later on.
But when is the next attack? Like, if you Kings here, you Mysterious Challenger next turn, then you Doctor Boom.
That's a valid point for sure.
You're attacking on turn 8.
But on the other hand,
at
like
best.
But that 1/1 is so easily cleared that I don't think it really helps with the problem.
I like the Knife Juggler, just Eaglehorn Bow here, but the Fell Reaver kind of accelerates the clock by a lot. So I like that as well.
Fell Reaver does a lot of damage very fast. I mean, that's the reason you play it, really, in a deck like this. And I think that Pinpingho here, he's able to trade this off. If he's able to play Fell Reaver, each of those individual attacks that he's going to potentially get off of the Reaver, they do a whole lot of damage. So it's interesting that the Juggler doesn't really have a huge impact. Bow as well, not a huge impact. I would expect to see Fell Reaver to come down this time.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you put it in your deck, what's a better time for it than this right here? Turn 5. You're going to be able to deal with that 1/1. Your opponent can't really trade into it. You know that he's not playing things like Aldor Peacekeeper or Big Game Hunter. Just seems perfect to me.
Yep, and here it comes, Fell Reaver.
All right, the Reaver has hit the board.
I always remember Fell Reapers just stomping on me when I was walking around, what was it, the Outland.
Oh, equality, but not good enough.
All right, but still going to play that Mysterious Challenger, get all of his secrets.
4 secrets. Second
All
Fell
right.
Reaver.
Well, we've got a plan.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if you can actually execute that plan, because the main thing that you have to do this turn is maintain your freeze trap. So if you're attacking with the 1/1 to trigger the get down, you have to kill that again. So you either lose 8 damage or play the bow, which means you're playing the bow.
Yeah, you're playing the bow for sure. It feels pretty bad to not drop a bigger minion. And with the bow, he can only play the Knife Juggler, which is not that great, but those minions are so huge, you really want to get value out of the trap.
You also really want the Avenge to hit the Shredder, which makes it so Freeze Trap is even more powerful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's see where it goes.
If the Avenge goes in the Shredder here, he can potentially just use his Fel Reaver to kill the Mysterious Challenger. It does not. He does have the option to trade.
It does.
That's
I don't know.
that's a tough option.
Yeah. I mean, if you're playing this kind of hunter, you don't really want to be trading.
You are leaving your opponent. You get a Knife Juggler in play. You have a bow in play, and your opponent has just one minion, and you have a freeze. He does go face.
Yep, getting that 8 damage, it's quite a huge chunk. Gog Hammer.
Cog Hammer is potentially huge here.
Yeah, you can actually clear the board and end with a 9-8 taunt.
Yeah, he can attack.
No, he can end with a 13-12 taunt.
Over the Kings.
Yeah, that's...
It's a lot of eggs in one basket.
You really want to stack that, I'm not sure.
Apparently he does.
Yep, just hoping for no Iron Big Owl. And push for lethal. Pinpingho doesn't have it.
He has the freeze trap, which actually works.
Oh yeah, that is true. The freezing trap is good enough.
He has freeze trap, and then you kind of want to pop that.
There's still a 13-12
Yeah,
taunt
you have to pop that with the Haunted Creeper, but you cannot play it. You have to play one of the other 5 drops, so you have to go Loatheb or Fel Reaver.
Yeah, this is a really awkward spot for Pinpingho. He would love to be able to do something with that Fel Reaver other than sacrifice the Divine Shield. He can't afford to use his weapon to break the Divine Shield. It would just kill him. He's at 10 health.
Well, the Loatheb and the Fel Reaver would both threaten lethal if he gets a silence next turn.
Yes.
So maybe you just don't want to lose your entire deck, and maybe cancel some options by playing the Loatheb.
If he does have, if he has, what, more than 7 cards in his deck, or 7 or more cards, the Fel Reaver is basically the same card, although a Loatheb does close out the possibility of something like Equality Consecration.
Yeah.
So I think Loatheb is generally the stronger play here because either of them is lethal.
Yeah, I definitely agree with this. And if he had those double Fel Reavers on the board, for example, every single card that DieMeng plays would mill him for 6, and he couldn't even have a chance to draw that. He wouldn't even have a chance to draw the Owl.
It is possible if he played the second Fel Reaver that DieMeng would be able to just play 2 cards and remove the rest of his deck from the game.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is Dr. Boom. Looks like it's coming down. And this is Owl or No.
Right, he has Hunter's Marks, but they're not going to work here.
Is this Iron Beak Owl that he picks up?
Oh, it is going to be Hunter's Mark.
It is Hunter's Mark, but that's not enough.
No, he's
every bit of damage.
Yeah, he's basically 2 triggers short of killing his opponent from that.
Yeah, that's a huge problem right there, and it has Divine Shield and Taunt.
I think he actually has to play Hunter's Mark to stay alive. He has to play Hunter's Mark and attack into the 13-12 twice with his creatures.
But then he just dies to the Dr. Boom,
still
right?
dead on just board.
Yeah, he's still dead to the Boom bot.
Oh, right. He can't clear both the Boom bots, so the Boom will get the attack through the freeze trap.
Yeah.
That Mysterious Challenger.
I
haven't seen
so
anything
big.
quite like that.
So big.
For only 6 mana, get yours today.
Well, he had a little bit more invested in that particular one. Blessed Kings and Coghammer helped, and DieMeng takes a 1-0 lead over Pinpingho.
But a very close match, with both players having extremely big threats on the board. It's just a game that can be closed out at any moment.
Yeah, when there's things like Fel Reavers and Mysterious Challengers and Dr. Boom, it's just a battle of haymakers here. And DieMeng had the one that was the most stable and was able to close things out.
Yeah, Pinpingho just simply couldn't answer the Goghammer there.
I think we have seen one silence in Pinpingho's deck. I think the moment we started talking about there not being a silence because there's the Hunter's Marks, he ended up getting an Owl. So I think there was a fairly decent chance that he would draw it. I mean, that game didn't go very long, but I believe the Fel Reaver discarded either 9 or 12 cards from the deck. So there really wasn't more than like maybe, 7 or 9 cards.
There definitely were, the chances were really high for him to draw the Owl if he had one, or even 2 in his deck.
Given the Hunter's Marks, I'm going to guess he probably has 1 Owl.
Probably,
It's very unusual for Hunter decks to run that many things to punch through big minions. In particular, Fel Reaver is usually bigger than what's on the other side. I'm actually kind of surprised that he does have the Hunter's Marks rather than silence effects with those Fel Reavers in his deck.
All right, well, in the end, DieMeng does take the opening game in their match. And to honor him, let's have some words from him talking about how he got one of his nicknames.
刚开始我是在镜头上打比赛的时候，他们观众们会从弹幕上，通过镜头来看到我，然后他们会觉得镜头上我显得像30多岁，像40岁，像一个中年的男人，他们会说，这个难道是大学生吗？所以就是慢慢的给我起了一个大叔的这样的一个外号。刚开始我可能不是很喜欢，不过后来我也接受了这个称号，也觉得还蛮可爱的。
Well, game 2 is about to start here. Will we see a shaman? Eventually one shaman will have to win. The same case as the rogues in the last match.
I would really love to see those shamans go up against each other.
You think so?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Do you think maybe the aggressive... I feel like shaman is basically like paladin, but a generation older. So it's kind of like the slightly faster one tends to win most of the games. So I think if we do see that, it's maybe a bit lopsided towards the aggressive one.
Probably a little bit because, well, there's one shaman.
We have no Thrall on Thrall violence just yet. We do have the Mech Shaman going up against
DieMeng.
Druid.
Yeah.
This is one of the best matchups for Mech Shaman. It's gotten a bit worse with the introduction of Darnassus Aspirant since the Grand Tournament, but I remember looking at competitive event statistics, and this was a matchup where the Mech Shaman tended to win something like 70–80% of the time.
Oh, yeah.
I think largely in that time it was because a lot of druids couldn't afford to run more than one or even one big game hunter, and shamans were running the Fel Reavers. These days I think the decks are a little bit different, and even if they're not, I think druids are running big game hunters these days. In fact, Pinpingho may have been the druid player that had the 2 big game hunters. I'm not sure
there might
who
be
it was,
multiple.
but there were at least a few. I know Hotform
was running
big
too.
game hunter.
Well,
But,
many of the threats in the Mech Shaman deck that cause such a big problem is actually more the very fast starts from things like the Mech Warper into Whirling Zap-O-Matic draw that we see in DieMeng's hand right now.
Pinpingho picking up that wild growth, that's very important for him right now. His hand is so clogged up with all those 5s.
And normally when you have a hand with a lot of higher cost spells and a wild growth, you don't want to use your coin to play wild growth, but I have to imagine there's a very good chance we will see Pinpingho do just that, because he wants to be able to use his second turn to cast that Wrath on an inevitable Mech Warper or Whirling Zap-O-Matic.
Turn 2 is when things start to go south against the shaman.
Yeah, if you don't have that Wrath in your opening hand and your opponent is able to stick a Mech Warper, you almost always just lose because they're able to get such a powerful, efficient opening with multiple minions.
Well, speaking of powerful, efficient openers, I think there's actually some chance that if DieMeng picks up a 1 or a 2 drop, he won't play any of his existing cards to be able to play Mech Warper, and then a free Whirling Zap-O-Matic for 3 mana.
Wow, that would be something.
One of the interesting things about Mech Warper management, basically, is that getting the discounts from multiple Mech Warpers in the same turn is exceptionally powerful. You're able to, as you're saying, play pretty much free cards. Though DieMeng does choose to go with just the Mech Warper there. The Ironbeak Owl, not a mech, would not get the discount.
Too good to play here.
Yeah. And I expect we will see Pinpingho destroy that Mech Warper with Prejudice.
I think he might play the Shade.
Really?
Because if he plays the Shade, he can use his hero power on the 2/1 and use Wrath on the most valuable minion.
Maybe.
It's
it's very threatening what DieMeng could possibly do next turn. Like if DieMeng played, for instance, Whirling Zap-O-Matic and a Noyotron.
Or even Pilot the Shredder is pretty tough to deal with. But he really wants to play the Shade.
Looks like he is going with Shade.
He might get punished for it, depending.
Tough decision definitely here for Pinpingho.
If you choose to play the Shade and DieMeng picks up a Pilot the Shredder, he can actually play Mech Warper, Zap-O-Matic, and the Shredder.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we're right. This is kind of a disaster case, but generally it's not. Generally, when you see a Mech Warper, you don't expect the other one as well.
DieMeng does actually have the opportunity to play Mech Warper and Whirling, even with just his hand right now, and Whirling Zap-O-Matic and Totem. And there's a possibility of a Stoneclaw Totem coming off there, which could help protect his board very well.
He
picks up Power Mace, which
That's actually not a good draw.
It's not what he's looking for right now. He would have loved to play the Power Mace this turn and start hitting with it. But if this is Stoneclaw, it's not. It's Healing Stream. So Pinpingho dodging a bullet right there. He will actually have a pretty reasonable turn here open to him.
Oh, yeah. He can rot one of the mech. No, sorry. He's likely to rot the Zap-O-Matic. Because that has to get dealt with. And the Shade can take out the Mech Warper without dying. And that's not possible in case of the Zap-O-Matic. So,
yeah, it's not too bad. For as aggressive of a hand as DieMeng had, it really didn't turn out as badly as it absolutely could have.
Yeah. Pinpingho has a reasonable number of solutions between the hero power to deal with the abusive sergeant, and then 2 other ways to kill either the Mech Warper or the Zap-O-Matic, depending on whether he wants to try to preserve his life total or keep his opponent from kind of going crazy. DieMeng does have a very small hand left, but Pinpingho may be worried about the possibility of a Fel Reaver coming out next turn. I don't know that we've seen them from DieMeng's deck.
Not yet, I believe.
But it's definitely a card that is a very threatening minion out of Mech Shaman.
One thing that's kind of rewarding is like the Shade actually allowed him to do this play.
Yeah.
If he didn't play the Shade, Whirling Zap-O-Matic would have got attacks in. And that's bad news.
It kind of worked out in the end, playing the Shade first, but if there was that that Pilot Shredder or something similar, things could have went really bad.
Right, so the Power Mace.
It's a pretty decent draw because now you can no longer deny the Power Mace Death Rattle.
A swipe would be excellent here for Pinpingho. He does not have one, however. A Druid of the Claw is okay,
All
but
five.
yeah, he has a
5/5.
I think he should play the 5-drop
5 of a kind.
I wonder what the best one is though. I'm thinking Druid of the Claw, but maybe even in charge.
Yeah, if he does choose to play Druid of the Claw in charge mode, he can take out either of the minions. Though at that point, his only left with 2 health on the Druid, and Power Mace will kill his Druid of the Claw and buff whatever's left.
It would die to the weapon, yeah. So most likely we're gonna see the taunt here.
Yeah.
I would expect it to be
if we
Bear
play it in taunt, there's a 50% chance that it goes that the buff lands on the 2/1, and if that's the case, you deal with the bigger minion. So absolutely, that's true. Yeah.
But we know
Druid
that
of the Claw
DieMeng does
seems
have
like the
that
best.
Ironbeak Owl in his hand, so it's possible that he would just push for damage.
I think with one card in your hand, that is quite likely.
He's going for the Druid of the Claw. Rope is burning.
And there's
But
the bear.
If the buff lands on the 2/3,
Second Power Mace. That's not really what you're looking for here.
It's a great card, but he already had one, so not optimal.
it's so hard to deal with if the buff lands on the 2/3 here.
And there it is
It
on
does.
the 2/3. So Pinpingho already got to 12 life at turn 5.
Really looking for
Oh, there we
Here.
go.
That's a big, big draw for Pinpingho here. And I have to imagine he may just use his bear's health to help take down the Mech Warper rather than hit it with his own face.
He's
I think,
so low. He kind of has to.
I think you're just gonna clear the totems. At the very least, the spell damage totem.
Yeah.
Yeah, he cannot face tank the 4 here. There's no way. He knows his opponent is playing Crackle, Lava Burst, all that stuff, and it's not going
Clear
down
all
to
the
9.
totems with his hero power and gains a little bit of life. The 1 armor that he's able to get on his hero here is pretty important in the way that the Mech Shaman deck wins from this position.
Yeah, with that swipe top deck, Pinpingho now with the board control, and DieMeng might struggle to deal that remaining bit of damage.
Top decking from turn 6.
Yeah.
Time waits for no one.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's see what it's going to be. It is a Rock Biter, I believe, and that can be a good draw if he gets a Windfury activator like a Doomhammer, but often in this type of deck, you don't see more than 1 Doomhammer, and Whirling Zap-O-Matics are unlikely to get any attacks in from this stage.
Just to clear off the bear, not going face just yet, not relying on, not willing to rely on top decking that Lava Burst.
This is the sort of position where the Mech Shaman deck, you're in a really, really rough spot to try and come back, period. I imagine a lot of spots going face there, it does give you the ability to at least draw like running burn spells. Now, you know, Pinpingho is just going to be able to start playing his big minion parade. And it's going to be difficult for DieMeng to get much more damage than isn't direct.
I don't know if I like the Druid of the Claw. I feel like if things go wrong with the Druid of the Claw, you don't have an immediate answer to a threat. Like if he plays any mech and deals... Oh, that's not a threat though.
That is not a
Cogmaster,
threat.
not what DieMeng
But
wants right
even if you
here.
got like maybe just the other Whirling Zap-O-Matic, it would go uncontested with the Rock Biter, right?
And down goes the bear, but the buff gets wasted. Then goes Cogmaster. Even though it works well with the mechs, it is not a mech by itself.
And boom, laid up that totem, 1 damage. All he needs now is a Totemic Might.
Well, the Keeper of the Grove is a really good draw. It lets him play a 5-drop along with it, and the Cogmaster, while it is a 1/2, the chance that it hits for 3 is quite reasonable. You really have to deal with the potential value of that threat.
Yep, goes for the Drake over the Loatheb. No real reason to play the Loatheb, but with the extra card draw from the Azure Drake, he could be. He increases his chance of finding an Ancient of Lore for the heal, just to secure the game, or a big taunt.
The thing with Loatheb is often a Shaman will save all his burn cards at the very end of the game, but sometimes it's not true when there's a spell damage in play.
Ah, he gets a Crackle. He's still in the game. He might pick up a Lava Burst from
7.
the top.
Oh.
That is a real problem here.
Yeah, that's a huge problem, because with that low roll, even the Lava Burst would be a tiny bit off.
And here, I believe that Pinpingho can clear the totem and set up lethal next turn.
Even with the Loatheb, I think.
Yeah, we can play Loatheb, and I believe that will leave DieMeng with very unlikely to have anything in his deck that can win the game.
Yep.
Well, if he doesn't hero power a Crackle, he'll have 8 mana. A Crackle will cost 7. So yeah, you're right. He cannot totem.
Yep.
He can't totem and Crackle for 7 if he doesn't hero power, because he's overloaded for 1 and Crackle will cost 7 mana.
That's right. He has the overload. No, he's still thinking here, but almost certainly we will see the Loatheb and full clear on the totem.
Waste for no
I
one.
really don't believe there's any card in the entire game that kills him at 7 if Loatheb is down.
There shouldn't be anything.
The totems go down, and then 4 damage to the face. That sets up more than enough on
Ragnaros?
Pinpingho's side of the board. Ragnaros?
Ragnaros would do it.
Leper Gnome, not so much.
All right, well, the Shaman does not take this game, and the series has evened out.
That's a clutch win for Pinpingho. That is
Right.
a matchup that he went into expecting to be the underdog, and he managed to pull it out.
Yeah, we talked about that. I feel like the underdog of the old Shaman versus Druid is not quite as bad as it is these days. I mean, we saw a lot of back and forth game. The Shaman had an excellent opener,
He did.
and the Druid had a pretty good one. But I feel like Shaman probably had a better opener, and it still didn't end up taking it.
It fell a little bit flat. He had those double mech warpers, which is usually the best possible thing, but he didn't have any more mechs to go with it. He never found the piloted shredder. He couldn't really utilize the discounts from those mech warpers.
Yeah, usually the mech warper is important to bridge you to things like the piloted shredder, things like Fel Reaver. I'm not certain that we've seen Fel Reaver.
Never seen a Fel Reaver from that deck, I believe.
And seeing the Abusive Sergeants and Leper Gnomes, looks like his deck is even lower to the ground than the typical mech Shaman deck that we see. So it's possible that that particular matchup against Druid may be a bit different with so many 1-health minions that the hero power can clear.
All right, well, still in the game, we have 2 Hunters, 2 Shamans, but those are 4 very distinct decks.
Yeah, it's interesting to see these players bringing many of these not terribly popular classes with Shaman, but even having very different takes on the strategy there.
Here we have DieMeng playing a Face Hunter, a very Face Hunter.
Oh, yes.
I think is the more correct way to put it. And we have Pinpingho playing a mid-range Hunter, but the Fel Reavers really cannot be answered by a Face Hunter. Face Hunters aren't running cards like Hunter's Mark or anything like that. They're really just closing out the game the entire like range of turns. So I feel like if a Fel Reaver comes down, that Pinpingho can actually push for more face damage than the Face Hunter can, where traditionally this would otherwise be a heavily favored match for the Face Hunter.
Yeah, with the Fel Reaver, he might be able to race with the Face Hunter quite efficiently. We've seen this matchup multiple times during the past few days in this tournament, and it has usually been the Face Hunter who has come out on top.
Look at that.
There's 5 cards and
All
total
right.
mana cost 4. Okay.
Pinpingho
Like
does
that priest
have
match earlier.
Yeah.
Pinpingho does have an excellent answer, though. He has the Unleash the Hounds, which he kept in his opening hand. So if DieMeng does coin double 1-drop,
5/5.
all right, he is.
What a hand.
That is an aggressive hand, one might say.
No 2-drop. I think that's actually the end. Like, as good as your hand is, you are taking so much damage.
The key thing actually is that DieMeng has 2 copies of Organ Infiltrator in his hand that he can play next turn. So even if Pinpingho does play that Unleash the Hounds, he won't be able to clear the board.
Yeah, I think that hand is absolutely fantastic for this. I mean, even with that Unleash, yeah, he will be able to clear it, but there's still so much damage coming in from those. And if DieMeng manages to pick up something like Eaglehorn Bow, some Chargers, this game might be over before that Fel Reaver comes down from Pinpingho.
Right. I mean, that's that's what the game is all about. Can DieMeng squeeze out enough damage before the Fell Reaver makes a difference? And it seems like he can, even though Pinpingho has that Unleash the Hounds. It seems like it doesn't. It probably won't prevent enough, but maybe it's a bit closer than we're kind of giving it. Because if Pinpingho can pull out maybe a taunt to stop the damage after the Fell Reaver is played, maybe something like that can happen.
Oh, Clive Zuka.
Wow.
He might choose to go for that instead of the one-drops, just because of the Unleash.
I have to imagine that the double Worgen is more attractive here, because he can also play, even if he does get his board cleared, he can play Deckhand Glaive Zuka on a future turn and get a bunch of just burst damage up front. These also require some setup, because they're minions that don't have charge.
That's true, and in case that there was no Unleash the Hounds, the game would just end right here,
yes.
because there are no
It'd be
explosive traps.
completely over.
Yes. There are no explosive traps in Pinpingho's deck. He's playing the mid-range variant, so there's freezings instead.
So this is really the best answer Pinpingho could possibly have here, but he's still taking another 4 damage from these Worgen Infiltrators.
Job's done.
Rusty Horn, not really particularly relevant as a spell here.
And the draw is Quick Shot.
Oh, that's a good
that
one.
should see some play.
That's a very good one.
And DieMeng just continues to point all of his minions at the opposing Rexar.
The weapon might hit a 1/1 though.
Yep,
Never mind.
prevented. Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's a face there.
Yeah.
Must attack the face with taunt.
So much damage. And the Pinpingho does have those trades with the 1/1s. Not too bad, but there's still going to be 1 remaining, and probably forced to just play the Shredder and ignore the deckhand for now.
It's interesting that the ability of the Clockwork Gnome here is actually kind of a liability for DieMeng. He'd love to be able to get an extra draw with that quick shot.
Oh, he still might.
He might, but it is a little bit worse than otherwise. Like, okay, so Eagle Horn Bow here. He's just gonna get in with his hero, I assume. No, he's actually going to.
Yeah, he wants to maximize hero power. He wants to play the bow
Yeah,
next
no,
turn
that
with
makes
another
a
hero
lot of
power.
sense.
The card draw doesn't really matter when your opponent is this low on
Yeah,
HP.
no, there's virtually no way for Pinpingho to actually get out of this position.
Oh, there is. I think a Vitality Totem would actually do it.
So
Okay.
you kill command your own Shredder? I mean, it seems like
That's true. You need the Vitality Totem this turn to actually win.
Yeah.
So the only way he actually stays alive is by killing off the Worgen and then kill commanding his own Shredder and getting a Vitality Totem.
The chances for that are fairly low.
Basically 0, because you'd never make that play.
Yep. Well, actually, DieMeng is 1 damage off for now, but
Yeah, it's not over
I'll
yet,
try
but it's
Yeah, but
it's
Vitality
power,
Totem only
yeah.
heals for 4,
that's true.
and you're taking 5 next turn from the second weapon hitting the hero power. So you really did need the
he
Vitality
did
Totem
need
that
it,
last
yeah.
turn.
He needed it.
I don't believe that he's actually sorry.
Me neither.
But yeah, looks like DieMeng is going to take a quick 3rd game over Pinpingho, leaving him up in the series 2 games to 1. Now it's just down to that Shaman deck.
It is down to that Shaman deck, and I mean, I know it's done fair at this tournament, and it's done fair at previous tournaments in the past. I would say that in the recent past, it's not done particularly well. In fact, I think in some of the tournaments it was known as the double lava burst, dreadful wonder of Hearthstone, where you just draw these burn spells, but your opponent would be out of range every single game.
It is interesting to me to see that DieMeng has chosen to bring Mech Shaman to this event, because that's a deck that's excellent against control decks, excellent against mid-range decks. It's very poor in general against other aggressive decks. And this is a metagame where there are quite a few of those. There's lots of Muster for Battles, there's lots of Zoo decks, Hunter decks. So I think that deck will very likely struggle against Pinpingho's Hunter deck, but may overcome in the Shaman Mirror.
Well, the other thing to consider is we talked about how much of a counter it used to be against Druid, but it seems like the deck has kind of left that tech out of it, right? Like there's no Fell Reavers, there's much more early game that class like Druid can deal with.
It seemed like
it's not really targeting Druid either.
Yeah, it seemed like all of those cards that are generally good against Druid were missing from the deck. But the Druid is already out of the way. Oh, there is that Piloted Shredder. He just didn't draw it last time.
And so Pinpingho with his Hunter deck here against DieMeng's Mech Shaman. Pinpingho is on the ropes now. He needs to win this game and the next in order to punch his ticket to BlizzCon.
We'll see if the Hunter works out here. He will need some of those key cards like Unleash the Hounds to be able to fight against the Shaman early on.
Glaivezuka seems like a pretty good card, even though 2 damage is often not enough for a lot of the mechs. It's good enough for the ones that kill you very quickly, like the Zapomatics.
That's true, does clear the Zapomatic.
I think the most important thing for the Hunter is actually finding the early minions. You really want to be able to remove your opponent's minions without face tanking them with a weapon. The damage out of the mech Shaman is its most dangerous thing. And unlike Hunter, Shaman doesn't have a hero power that deals damage. So if the Hunter is able to trade off the board, ultimately ends up basically grinding the Shaman down with its hero power in this matchup.
The starting hand from Pinpingho is looking quite solid.
It's very good.
DieMeng's hand also not bad. But with that Knife Juggler and Unleash the Hounds, he might be able to just on turn 5 unleash with the juggles, and it might be something that DieMeng can't really clear. Oh, another Unleash. In general, you don't want to see 2 in your hand, but against the Shaman,
Against this Shaman
in particular, it's actually a nice card to draw.
That's right.
Especially with that Knife Juggler as well.
Oh,
yeah, but you can't be playing Knife Juggler here.
Oh,
that
you want to
is
be the
a
Hunter
death
Creeper in this
sentence.
turn, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hunter Creeper lines up very, very well against Leper Gnome. Can remove it and leave you with the 2 minions on the board. And if your opponent does play, say, additional minions with 1 health,
Yeah, those
you have the
juggles.
Knife Juggler that you can possibly play the next turn as well.
Yep, the Creeper does seem like the best possible thing Pinpingho could even hope for here. And he's still thinking about it, potentially thinking about the next turns, or trying to throw off his opponent by maybe faking that he would also have a Mad Scientist in his hand.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of players really take their time on their early turns, even when they may not have a lot of decisions. You have a limited amount of time in the game, really, with each number of turns you have. So
Just think about everything.
Yeah, for players who try to calculate a lot, while you may not necessarily have a lot of things to think about right now, you do have turns ahead to plan for. And here, DieMeng picking up a Whirling Zapomatic, a very strong draw. Though that Unleash the Hounds, one of them in Pinpingho's hand, is likely going to get
You have to play it here.
Yeah, he has to go for it.
The Juggler's best case is the best outcome.
Yeah.
But it feels like such a risk you shouldn't be, putting your potentially your tournament line on.
Yeah, and another thing to consider is that not only would it be risky to play the Juggler here and hope that the Juggles finish off the Zapomatic, but saving it for the second Unleash on turn 5 might be extremely powerful. So most likely just gonna see an Unleash the Hounds, seeing that Zapomatic and the Leper Gnome getting cleared off the board.
Though Pinpingho actually, interestingly, has the option if he chooses to use the Hounds, all of the Hounds, or to potentially use the Haunted Creeper as one of the things.
Yeah.
So he could leave himself, if he wanted, with multiple minions in play and keep the
I think that's most likely to happen.
Fight around.
I think that's most likely to happen just because next turn he's going to become the Animal Companion.
Yeah, against a deck that you know is not running any kind of AoE, there's no Lightning Storm. You'd rather have 3 1/1s than 1 1/2 with the Death Rattle.
Yeah, I definitely agree with this play from Pinpingho. It also leaves him, even if he didn't play anything else next turn, these minions can contest the Mech Warper or potentially contest something like that Shredder.
Yeah, getting that 3 mana pile the Shredder and the Clockwork Gnome here. It's quite nice. The Clockwork Gnome, not spectacular. It's going to get traded with one of the 1/1s. But still,
I like
not
the
too
bow
bad.
here. But let's talk about the Animal Companion possibilities. So Leok is generally pretty good when you have a board of 3 creatures, but with every single minion having an odd number of health, it really doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything at all.
Well, it kind of lets you trade a little bit better if you want to do 3
Yeah.
damage to something.
I guess, but
Like if your
Not as
your
much
goal
as
was
you
to
hope,
kill the Shredder and like a 2 health creature comes out, it could
Right.
accomplish that. But that's about it.
yeah, pretty much. So the Eaglehorn bow does seem a little bit more likely. How about the other outcomes? If he was to get a Huffer or a Leok?
Huffer
Sorry,
would have to
Huffer or
go
Misha?
into the Shredder, and that could possibly be close to a Leok. The thing with Leok is you kind of do that task and you still keep the 2/4. Misha can get punished a lot. I don't know, bad things.
Yeah, Eaglehorn Bow also leaves you up the weapon that you can use next turn as well. If DieMeng does play something like the Flame Tongue Totem in his hand, you have, even if your other minions die, you have a reasonable way to remove it.
Whoa! Yeah, he really wants that Juggler Unleashed to be as potent as possible.
Yeah.
And he doesn't imagine that the 2/1 is going to attack for his 1/1 creature. So he's kind of leveraging the remaining life total that he has to push for a higher tempo play next turn.
Pretty dangerous though, because
Jeez.
he's not only did he leave the 2-power minion up, but this gives an additional 2 damage from that Flame Tongue Totem.
It does get-
I still like it though.
It's so risky. He went down to 12 HP already.
Yeah.
And he's playing Hunter that cannot heal anyhow. So those crackles, those lava bursts might be a huge
Right,
problem.
but I mean, one of the interesting things here is that he actually doesn't want to kill the 4-1 because if okay, well he killed the 4-1. But in the case that he didn't, he had the option to kill the 0 attack totem, which I guess died anyway. Okay, I'm just getting countered here pretty hard.
Was a
All right, that was excellent hits from the juggler there, taking out the entire board of DieMeng and leaving Pinpingho with a very solid board here.
But very low life total.
Very low life. I have to imagine we'll just see this power mace go straight to the face.
Oh yeah, with this play, unless there's a taunt coming up from Pinpingho, DieMeng is one lava burst off from it.
Yeah.
Or a crackle.
Or a crackle.
Or some crackles. But Pinpingho here, he has a pretty substantial clock himself.
Hoping for a Misha, and he gets it.
That's a Misha. That is big. Though there is
Well,
the
there is
owl
another
in
big owl,
DieMeng's
yeah.
hand.
It looks better than it
I'm
actually
actually
is. yeah.
surprised to see the quick shot. I thought that this game cannot last very much longer, and having the quick shot for the Fell Reaver can give you overall more tempo.
Though I think that DieMeng, with any damage, would actually kill Pinpingho if he had not killed that. Because the owl plus the power mace.
No, I
buff
think
with
he should
face.
have killed that, but with the kill command, so he could play
Oh,
the quick
sure.
shot and the Fell Reaver next turn. Now he can only play the Fell Reaver.
How much damage is that? He has
This is
1 damage off, I believe. No. Or does he have it? No, he is 1 off.
yeah. It looks like there's
7
7,
from
8,
the
9,
hand
10
and 10.
plus
Oh,
5.
there
There
it
it
is.
is.
Okay.
I believe that's
Yeah,
gonna be
it
that's
has
gonna
to
do
be.
it. Yeah.
He just knew he'd get the other one. What am I talking about?
So yeah, kill command and quick shot finishes off DieMeng, and we are going to Game 5 in the battle of Shaman versus Shaman.
We are going to have
It's like we
that Shaman
scripted this.
Shaman.
This is fantastic.
Perfect.
Yeah, we talked about how Shaman had to win a game in this set, and somehow we must have cursed DieMeng because that keeps going against our prediction.
Yeah. That fast Shaman seems to be a little bit of a liability for DieMeng
It
here.
has really struggled for him so
yeah.
far. I mean, that matchup is one where the Shaman tends to be very, very disadvantaged. The Hunter, structurally, is a really good matchup there. Though losing that early matchup to the Druid, I think, maybe has DieMeng a little rattled.
Yeah, to be fair though, it was very close. He could have
Yes.
drawn a Crackle or a Lava Burst and potentially sneak a win there.
Yeah. Well, I feel the interesting thing about the Shaman deck is that usually you want to have a deck that's just wild, explosive, can win against anything. Those are really good factors. But usually you want to that list of good things, you want to add always beats these decks. And and it feels like that part is kind of missing. So, but we'll have to see. Maybe there is some tech in that deck that is particularly good against other decks that we just haven't seen in Pinpingho's lineup so far. But it is going to be Shaman versus Shaman, and Pinpingho is allegedly the Shaman. So he had a few words why that is.
基本上我并不害怕遇上任何一个玩家。我的第一个对手 Purple，其实我对他了解的并不太多，了不了解我的对手，其实对我来说并不太重要。我带了萨满、德鲁伊和猎人，那当然其中我最喜欢的是我的萨满，因为萨满本人玩萨满不是理所当然的吗？
Well, the Shaman himself will be facing a counterfeit, I guess.
I really hope the winner just picks up the Doom Hammer at the end of the match. Just
Well, that's one interesting thing too. We haven't seen the Doom Hammer in the Mech Shaman list.
yeah, no, that
Maybe there's been a complete removal of any card over 4 mana from that deck.
That seems so strange though. If your strategy is to go for face, Doomhammer seems like an excellent card.
Doom Hammer goes for face, then it goes for face again.
Twice every turn. Seems pretty good, and the overload, not really a problem, since at that point your hand is mostly empty anyway.
Yeah.
Certainly empty in the case of this deck.
Yeah. Might be a spare, but from the Clockwork.
What he
but
needs
that's
is
right.
quick shot.
Quick shot would be
Maybe Core Rager. I don't know. That can replace your Fell Reaver. Hands always empty anyway.
I suppose. All right. Well, this is going to be the final game. It's 2-2. It's the Shamans, And someone has to advance, and whoever doesn't will have to be in tomorrow's matches. Tomorrow we'll have the decider matches for you guys. All the players who have 1-1 records will battle it off for the remaining spots for the BlizzCon.
Well, the winner goes straight to BlizzCon next week.
Yeah, that's something what.
Well, there's
worth
Lava
going
Burst.
for.
We actually had not seen DieMeng draw Lava Burst yet in any of these games. You've seen him
I
play
think
the
we
Shaman.
saw him in
I would say today.
yeah, today.
Yeah.
Today, that's true.
Earlier on. There's some nice curving here from DieMeng. He does have a 1 and a 2. He could also keep the Rockbiter if he wants to use it for removing an early minion from Pinpingho's side.
I think Rockbiter is the only card you'd consider keeping here, right?
For
Pinpingho?
Pinpingho, yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
I believe so. Defender of Argus is pretty strong, but it's slow.
Yeah.
It's a card that you want in the matchup, but you need to be able to interact in the early turns. You want to find things like Zombie Chow, like Haunted Creeper, that allow you to contest your opponent's minions with your own.
Yeah, almost certainly he will lean towards trying to increase his chances of finding those cards that you mentioned.
Well, we saw a 2-drop there briefly, and it is going to be a Nerubian Egg
And a Totem.
with a Totem Golem and an activator for the Nerubian Egg.
Two of
The interesting thing is, I believe you have to lead with a Totem Golem just so you don't have to commit to playing a buff the following turn.
Let the turn 1 greetings coming from both players.
Greetings, friend. They're friends. They're both Thrall.
It's very nice. So much on the line, but still showing a lot of sportsmanship.
Will
there.
we see the double 1-drop again? Oh, certainly now.
Yep,
Oh, yes.
there you go.
Here they come. And we're actually talking during Pinpingho's first match that he's actually, if he is sort of stuck to form of many of the versions of Shaman he's played in the past, he typically doesn't run with very much healing in his decks. If
I
any,
think we've seen none of that
Yeah.
at all
So
in the last game.
that's a very dangerous thing in a deck like against a deck like Mech Shaman that can put on a lot of pressure and then has those burn spells to end the game.
Yeah, definitely. If when do you get the Defender of Argus down, even if you have strong taunts, the damage might already be done from the early minions, and he would be dead to something like just a Crackle or the Lava Burst.
I'm calling it now. Tuskar Totemic into Vitality Golem wins the game.
Wow.
Vitality
Well,
Totem, not Golem. I was
he
thinking Totem
goes,
Golem.
he goes with the egg here, and that is pretty interesting to me. It allows him to use the Rockbiter and the Flame Tongue Golem, but the Annoyatron is the perfect counter
Yeah,
to
this
both
is
of those
absolutely
things.
the perfect thing.
Yeah, if he had dropped the Totem Golem that last turn, he could have potentially played the egg and had something to contest the Annoyatron this turn. But now, Pinpingho's
Yeah.
stuck in an awkward spot where he doesn't have a great way to use his mana.
I still like the play though. I think it was really cool because by doing this, he could have Rockbiter that and traded it, getting that 4/4, but it's just the Annoyatron.
It offers the most efficient possible play, but unfortunately lines up very poorly against the Annoyatron that DieMeng happened to have in his hand.
Yeah.
I think one aspect of DieMeng's Shaman deck that we've understated is the fact that Shaman as a class, the weak point is really if you start losing on turn 1 or 2, you're done, especially with an aggressive version. But his deck having such a ridiculous number of 1 and 2 drops, it makes it so unlikely that that situation would ever arise. He's always winning on turn 2 or 3, and he's always getting those first few attacks. While he doesn't have some of the finishers, some of the mid-range cards that we've wanted to see in the past, oh man, that is strong.
And here, Pinpingho having to use the Rockbiter just to break the Divine Shield on the Annoyatron, trying to set up the Flame Tongue next turn to be able to allow him to trade that egg into one of the other minions, but the Flame Tongue from DieMeng clears out the Totem Golem, leaving him kind of back at square one.
Yeah.
This spare part is actually a very powerful one as well because it's pretty unlikely that Pinpingho will be able to deal with the board, especially that totem, anytime soon, as the other creatures are easier to deal with right now. So if that totem does make it through, he can maybe return it and reposition it to get some bonus damage in a future turn.
There,
True.
for sure.
A rough turn here. He might end up just hexing the Flame Tongue. But you want to pop that egg, but it only takes one. I mean, if you could choose to go with the Flame Tongue and you pop that egg to get that 4/4 out, it only takes one power off the board because the Flame Tongue buff would shift.
The Annoyatron is the only mech.
Well, that is true. DieMeng does have a second one in his hand, so if you Pinpingho, maybe that's a consideration that you also have to think about. So there is a chance that there is no more mechs coming.
All right, well, there is no mech coming, and things are going to start looking really bad here. I mean, how much? This is 12 damage.
Yeah, getting close to lethal already.
I mean, the Clockwork Gnome and the Power Mace can come down for DieMeng this turn. That he can, even if he wants, he can just clear this off. I imagine he will to protect his Flame Tongue. And see, oh no, he's actually just going to go with the piloted Shredder. You know, strong minion here gets in for 5 damage. So now with the piloted Shredder, he's actually even resilient to something like a Lightning Storm. If Pinpingho were to pick up a Lightning Storm to try and clear the board, it really wouldn't do that much. And now Pinpingho, the Shaman himself, is on the back foot against DieMeng's Mech Shaman.
Yeah. I feel though that Hex kind of gets quite a bit of damage off the board, again because it denies the mech.
Unfortunately, the 0-1 is not actually
Not actually
0-1.
0-1.
Yeah, it's going to be a 2-1
That is an
frog.
angry frog right there.
Yeah.
It is.
That's going to do it actually. Is it? No, it's 5
Not
and 5.
quite,
5 and
not
5, no.
quite, but it's very, very
It's
close.
10 damage.
And as we were saying, Pinpingho is not really known to run with a lot of healing in his deck, if any. So even if Pinpingho is able to survive this turn and clear the board, he's like a you know, lava burst or crackle away from just ending the game.
I would expect him to play the Clockwork Gnome here for that extra 2 damage. The Totem Column, yeah, it's a little bit stronger minion than the Clockwork is, but every little bit of damage counts.
Yep.
And he knows Pinpingho doesn't have any healing in his deck, so even if there was some
Basically
kind
needs
of...
a taunt.
Yeah, but even then, like, so many turns. DieMeng's still at full HP. There's so many turns for him to draw it, and with that
is not
fire
it.
elemental from the top, I believe that's going to do it, and DieMeng is finally going to find his win with his aggressive Shaman list.
Yeah, there's no taunt totem, there's nothing, there's absolutely no
There's the
circumstance
concession.
that Pinpingho can stay in this game. And DieMeng will advance to the BlizzCon Finals. 2-0 performance. We've seen all the 2-0s this part of the tournament will have to offer, and all 4 of those players have advanced. But 4 more players will have to fill their seats for the
There it
BlizzCon
is.
Finals.
Doomhammer. Neither player picked it up, but you know, yeah. Who knows if they can really?
Yeah.
That thing is really heavy.
Sure is.
All right, well, those are some great games today. We still have quite a few games for you guys tomorrow. As I mentioned, it is going to be all the decider matches to fill the remaining seats for BlizzCon. And at the end of tomorrow, we will have our top 8. And those guys are going to be pretty lucky, I guess. But, you know, if you guys are going to BlizzCon, if you guys do want to meet the players, there's no worries. Even the people that have not qualified to play in the top 8, all the rest will still be at BlizzCon. They'll be in that area. They'll be checking out. And if you guys want to meet them, if you guys want your mouse pad signed or anything like that, I'm sure they will fulfill your dreams. So what do you guys think for tomorrow out of the decider matches? Do you guys